Austin, Texas is an interesting place. I've learned a lot about it recently. Key facts and history. It was in the 1830s, it was part of Mexico, and first Anglo-American settlers founded the village of, called it Waterloo, not Austin yet, on the banks of the Colorado River. It was the first permanent settlement in the area. This is central Texas. 1835 and 36, Texans fought and won a war of independence from Mexico, and then it became its own country. Texas did. Its own president, Congress, and monetary system. In 1839, a hero of the War of Independence from Mexico, Stephen F. Austin, became the namesake of what was formerly Waterloo, and became Austin. So Waterloo became Austin, and Stephen F. Austin is called the father of Texas. Since it was his own country, then it became part of the United States and is the capital. Austin is the capital of Texas, the Lone Star State. Another interesting fact is that the population grew significantly, about 25% from 2010 to 2020 in the census. It's the 11th most populated city in the US and the 4th largest in Texas, which shows you how big Texas is. It's the 11th largest in the whole country and 4th in its own state. Okay. So didn't have a super auspicious beginning. I mean, many capitals don't, in terms of being a center of commerce. The Texas oil boom took hold in the early 20th century. There were a lot of opportunities in other parts of the state, Southeast Texas and North Texas, but it kind of passed by Austin to start with, slipping country from the 4th largest city in the state to the 10th in the 40 years from 1880 to 1920. But then by the mid 20th century, Austin became as one of the major Texas metropolitan centers, and by the late 1900s, it became an important high-tech center for semiconductors and software. And the University of Texas at Austin, which has about 50,000 people, emerged as a major university and feeder to that industry. In parallel to the tech growth, there was a very significant growth in the music scene, with major famous artists like Willie Nelson and Stevie Ray Vaughan getting their start in the 1970s in the music scene in Texas. So overheard on the internet, why is everybody moving to Austin? Well, the unofficial, informal consensus answer was a list of things. Tech jobs, no state tax in the state of Texas, bars, outdoorsy vibe, food, live music, comedy. This sounds like things that a vibrant population who's relatively young would enjoy, and that's not incorrect. So this slide shows that there's a lot of statistics to back up that informal understanding of quality of life and education and jobs and housing. In the last 4 years, it's won a lot of. Austin has been listed at #1 in a whole bunch of different categories: highest salary for tech employees, highest salary growth, best college towns, best places to live in the U.S., good for foreign real estate investors. And in 2020, a unique one, best city to be quarantined in. So hopefully we won't have to deal with that anymore. There is, Willie Nelson, famous musician, says there's a freedom you begin to feel the closer you get to Austin, Texas. So this is all going to the Austin token, which I think will be a wonderful value, wonderful use of units resources for a variety of reasons, because of the dynamic ecosystem of people, and also the economy is quite strong. So the GDP of the country was $86 billion in 2010, and then grew over 7% annualized until 2019, as $159 billion of GDP in 2019. Austin's a major center for high tech. Started in it really took off in the 90s. Proliferation of technology companies led to the nickname Silicon Hills, which of course plays on the San Francisco Silicon Valley, and spurred development that greatly expanded the city. There's all kinds of different techs, not just silicon. There's pharmaceutical and biotech companies, about 85 of those, of 85 pharmaceutical and biotech companies in Austin, and the city is ranked by the Milken Institute, or it was even back then, 2004, as the number 12 biotech life science center in the U.S. All kinds of accolades that we just went through in the previous slide. Whole Foods also was founded in Austin, the grocery store. So it's not just tech. Other companies that are not tech oriented, they use tech. Sweet Leaf Tea Company, Keller Williams Realty, all kinds of corporate headquarters are in Austin. So a lot of VC investing in Austin too. $1.33 billion invested in 2018. That's 60% of the total of Texas, and it's only the fourth largest city in the state. So 60% of the VC investing, it's pretty significant. And as we mentioned at the top, there's no state income tax. I clicked on something there. Okay. So the income, you can see that the people the population of the city is getting wealthier and wealthier from 2000, 2010, 2015. More and more people are making $150,000. Now, that's in dollars, of course, which if you're here for my talk two talks ago, or an hour ago, we may not be able to trust dollars, but they try to make the constant dollar and take out inflation, but that may or may not really cover it. Nonetheless, people are making more money in dollar terms over time in Austin, so it's serving a wealthier clientele. There are a lot of companies based in Austin, just to drive home this point, that Fortune 500 companies that have headquarters or regional offices in Austin, not only headquarters, because 3M there is based in Minnesota. So it's a lot of those are employing a lot of people, and then other high tech companies that are also big names that may not be Fortune 500 are also big players in Austin. Austin is, as I mentioned, the home of the University of Texas. There's a lot of engineering and computer science students that are a steady source of employees for all these tech companies, which of course draws more businesses to the area. And according to Forbes, it's number 8 in the U.S. for the best place to build a career. It's not without backlash. Not even really backlash. It's more of a cultural revolt against gentrification or samification of things, or technology, I guess. There's a phrase that has gained currency called "Keep Austin Weird." So all the fundamental growth, you can see like on this map here, that prices of homes, the median price of homes, has gone up quite significantly, especially in the most desirable, more central parts of the city. In only 5 years. This is the most recent data that I could find on the Austin government website. So 80% increase in 5 years is a lot. So that has led to, it's priced out some people who maybe have been artists or filmmakers or musicians that weren't necessarily making a lot of money. So the support is there for independent businesses and artists and musicians and things like that. So Keep Austin Weird is an ongoing thing that's been a local motto for years, featured on bumper stickers and T-shirts and all kinds of different things. Not just about eccentricity, but also meant to bolster and support local businesses. Austin's a place that likes to use slogans. They've got their own Keep Austin Weird. They call themselves the live music capital of the world. Okay, all right, that's good. I like that. I like that confidence. Well, and they have good reason to say it, I guess. There's the South by Southwest is it's called South by colloquially. It's got a wonderful music festival and film, interactive media, and it's quite an event every year. So that started in Austin in 1987, and there are many nightclubs around the most desirable areas in downtown, and they play a lot of music. They have more music venues per capita than any other U.S. city, and more drinking establishments, bars or alcohol serving establishments than any other zip code in the country, in the U.S. And they have the longest running concert music program called Austin City Limits on American TV. So there's a lot of live music going on, and they can lay a good claim to that status. To go along with that, so Austin has tech. It's got music. It's got food, known for some sorts of food. I guess the most dramatic stat I could find was that it's the second largest number of food trucks per capita in the US. So that means that there's a variety of people trying things out when they're food trucks. They don't have to pay rent and get a whole restaurant to do it. They also have a very large craft beer scene. So creativity also has gone into the beer industry, with over 50 microbreweries in the area. And VinePair named Austin the top beer destination in the world in 2019. I'm sure they had a very objective criterion. Notable Austin breweries include Jester King Brewery, Live Oak, and Real Ale. I've heard of Real Ale Brewing Company. That's a good one. So as far as Austin Token for the Unit Network, I think that it is a really solid foundational setup for success in tokenization because of the fast-growing economy, a tech savvy and friendly populace that will lead to significant. First of all, there's a lot of value in the city, as we said, about $150 billion of GDP, and also adoption should be. If adoption is going to happen anywhere, it would happen quite rapidly in Austin. For example, adults in Austin read and contribute to more blogs than those in any other U.S. metropolitan area. They have the highest internet usage in the state of Texas, and it was the most active city on Reddit in 2013. I'm sure that continued, but that's when the pulse was taken of how active people are on Reddit there. So, Austin, the city, of course, Austin Token would work in Austin, but I think there's a variety of industries that could flourish as well. Music, eat, art, online, plus a variety of other industries. That it's a pretty dynamic economy that could support a number of industry tokens. And yeah, I'll leave it there. So, anybody has any comments or ideas, anything you want to talk about?
Can you talk a little bit more about the city token?
Like how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Austin City Token is so with any token, so with Unit, for those who don't know, or just like a refresher, my opinion on how it works, my understanding of how it works, is that Unit token is it's got a bank and a treasury. So we raise money, and it's backed by Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot. Those are like and other level 1 tokens. Unit is a level 2 token that those reserve assets get invested in. Sorry. And then so the level 2 token unit gets invested in industries and cities. So 50 different city tokens, including Austin, and 50 different industry tokens, including online, art, eat. So the Austin city token then, as a level 3 token, would be invested in level 4 and 5 tokens. So anyone in Austin who wants to create their own token, which as I just said, these tech savvy, young, vibrant people that are living there would want to create their own tokens because it's cool. And it's also like, it's a way to make money. It's very entrepreneurial. So people will accept Austin token into their treasuries. People will accept, and that will tend to increase the value of Austin token because people want to, they want to share in the community of Austin. So let's say, hey Mark, let's say Mark, you're in Austin, and you're like, hey, I'm a musician, and I want to create an album, so I'll create Mark token to do that. So now I have Mark token, and I will accept Austin token and music token if you want to buy into my album, and that will tend to tease out the value of the industries, the cities, and projects, all of them, because it's bottom up, much like a couple of talks ago when I mentioned that if you go into a prison, the warden doesn't say, hey, everyone's going to use cigarettes as money here. It's a bottom up phenomenon. It's like, oh, we need something, medium of exchange. Well, it's not, no one says your token will be an Austin token if you don't want it to be, like if you spend like 2 months a year in Austin, but you don't really not feel an affinity for it, but you feel more with New York or something. Whatever, you decide. So it's like, I accept Austin token into my treasury. That means I want to be associated with Austin. Similarly, you'll accept music token and art token, but not, food token or something. So there are 3 levels of value for the Austin token. What's in the treasury there are 2 ways that rises in value. One is from people using Austin token to invest in other tokens, and there's a limited number of them, 100 million Austin tokens. So as they get invested in other treasuries or banks, the limited supply will tend to push up the value of it. Also from trading fees, we're talking about the USDU in the last talk. So USDU, you would trade for Austin. So there's a pairing of USDU and Austin. And when you buy Austin token or sell Austin token for USDU, there's a 2% fee that you pay, and 0.5% goes into the Austin token treasury, building up the treasury for the Austin token. So the more use, both is in limited supply and investing in other things, and also trading fees that go into the Austin treasury, more use will tend to push up the value of Austin, which now you have a very valuable city token that people want to earn because it's demonstrably valuable, something that people want to go and be a part of the ecosystem of. So does that answer your question, Maida?
It does. And I think places can become much more community oriented if they all are invested in a token together. I think this can create, for what you're saying, it seems to me that it is like a city with a lot of culture in common, that people really like the place. And I imagine that even in places that are not like that, having a token that everybody share can create like a good place like Austin is all over the planet.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting point. It's kind of similar to, I was having a conversation with a friend last week, I think. And I was saying, yeah, Joe token. And he's like, with all due respect, why would I want Joe token? You're not like a famous pop star or something. Like, okay, fair point. But wrong. This is why. Because Instagram, for example, Jennifer Aniston joined Instagram one day maybe 5 years ago, and she went from 0 to 28 million followers in a day. Why? Not because she like Instagram, if she built her brand on Instagram. No, because she brought her brand to the space, to that place, and she already had it there. But anybody else who opens an Instagram account, it's not easy for them to just like use Instagram to get, to build up their stature, their network, and their brand. She did. It's much more helpful to bring your own brand to a network where there is not any shared financial interest in it. Oh, we might be a fan of hers. Oh, I'll follow her on Instagram and I'll see what she's doing. Or I'll follow LeBron James on Instagram because, whatever, I'm a fan. I think he's cool. It's not a totally one-way street, but it's much more like you're getting the value and he's just, no, he's getting the value. He's getting all the followers and you're just getting the, I'm entertained by him. So, and maybe that's enough. You just follow. But you take someone who's not already with a massive brand, or like a small city where people don't really care about the city. They don't feel the strong community around it. Once you all share in the value of that, even if it's not a huge amount of value to start, having a lot of owners of it, now all of them care about this small value or big value, whatever it is, they all care about it. And they all benefit from it instead of just like, oh, yeah, okay, the network effect of that brand didn't take off because it wasn't a brand to start with. Jennifer Aniston was a brand. Okay, cool. But if it's just like, some person, use myself, the Joe token. So hey, if you have Joe token, like, okay, or Maida token, like, all right, I would like, if I own a stake in you, like, I want to make your brand big. I'm going to introduce you to people that I know. Hopefully I would do that anyway, because I'm a nice person, but now I have a financial interest in it too. So that's cool. Like Mark, hey, I own Mark token. I want you to kind of like have all kinds of opportunities. I'll build a community around you. Similarly, if you have, I don't know what kind of city you're thinking of, Maida, but like a city where people are not particularly, don't have a lot of pride in it. Maybe there's a lot of gang violence or whatever. They feel like it's falling apart. Well, if you have a token around it, now people will really try to promote it and build it up. And the foundation is there for it, So the shared value does build community, like you just said.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I just thought about that. Funny that you were having a conversation exactly about it.
Anyone else have any thoughts or anything else?
Mark?
Questions? I can wrap it up too. Okay, well, thanks guys. Thanks for listening and conversing.